This is one of the most powerful debt planners out there to track your debt, pay off your debt, and to strategize to save money and interest. So there's only two tabs. There's a dashboard and then the timeline. So let's focus on the dashboard and let's start with entering the current month and the year that you're going to start tracking your debt. Now let's head over to name your debt. Now this is required, so just think of a name, credit card, loan, whatever it is, make a name for it, and then scroll down to entering your debt numbers. So for the annual interest rate, you want to do your closest guess or an exact guess, which you can find on your loan terms. You might know it off the top of your head. You can also Google it for some credit cards and you'll get an interest rate. And then you want to do your current minimum monthly payment. Now in this calculator, it assumes that you keep making the same exact payment. That is what the strategy is even when your minimum payment gets reduced, you keep making the same minimum payment, but you can adjust it if you want. Next, type in your starting balance. So whatever you currently owe is going to be your starting balance. Starting balance is going to act as a benchmark to your debt payment. So your current balance will update, but your starting balance shouldn't update unless you want to start fresh. It's up to you. And then let's go into credit limit. So we're doing a credit card right now, but there's not always going to be a credit limit. If you have a loan or a car payment, there's no credit limit to that. So you can also leave it at a 0. So this is just example data on what it might look like. Again, try to be as accurate as you can because it's really going to help you pay off your debt quicker. So now let's scroll down. I know there's a lot on this dashboard. There's a lot of useful metrics. I know it can be overwhelming looking at it, but let's scroll down to the debt log. So when you're ready, this is where you're going to change your balance of your debt. So after you put in your start month and year, you'll get an autofill of all of these months. So if you pay off $150 of this debt, you'll log that in with a negative, and things happen and sometimes your balance will increase. So if your balance does increase, just simply don't put a negative and put whatever it increased by. Now let's get into the individual metrics for debt. So the main ones you might want to look at is your months remaining for this debt and your freedom date. This will tell you exactly what it says, how many months left you have of this debt and your freedom date. When will this debt be gone? And then also on top, you have your current balance. So again, what I just logged, as you update your balance, this balance will update and you'll get a debt progress pie chart filled in. And there's also some key metrics. So just to know, what is the cost of your actual debt? And this is really telling for a lot of people. Every month you're paying $62 in interest on this debt. And the interest remaining on this is $1,481. A lot of people will tell me this is eye-opening for them when they enter their debt. And this is why it's so important to get on a plan, identify your high interest traps and get rid of them completely. So we'll come up with a strategy a little bit later in this video and I'll show you how it works. But let's keep going on with the actual data presented for this debt. So just to quickly go over this part, you'll see your strategy right here. Basically, we'll go over this in a second, but this will populate with whatever strategy you choose. It will show you how much months you save on this debt and how much money you save. You will be surprised with some of these strategies and how good they are. It's really insane with how much time and money you can save with a plan. So this gray box right here will show you with no plan, we're looking at 42 months and $1,500 in interest. Now you might be like, well, why is months remaining 39? Well, that's because we already made a payment of $150. So this will be static from your starting balance, and this will change as you pay off your debt. A pretty cool feature that was added. So basically rinse and repeat. Add in all your debt, student loans, car payment, whatever you have, add these numbers in to get an overall picture of your debt. And now let's scroll up to the actual calculator of this. So this is really where this spreadsheet excels. You can choose your own plan with proven strategies to pay off your debt. So I'm going to switch this to none real quick just so I can start fresh. But basically the first one right here is additional monthly payment. How much more can you put in towards your debt? It's going to tell you where should you put that money, so don't worry about that. But what is an aggressive number that you can realistically do? If it's 0, that's okay. But even $5, $10, $15, $100 is going to make such a difference. So for this example, I'm going to do 50. And you can see here we have no strategy applied. And let's just see how the calculator saves us with just $50 a month. So you can see with only $50, we're saving over a year in debt and we're saving $1,100. You might be like, how is that possible? Well, you'd be surprised with how much $50 can do. And that's why it's so important to do whatever you can. But now let's get into the meat and the bones. So the debt strategy here, you can click this icon to see the strategies and what they actually do. So snowball is going to take your lowest debt and pay that off first. The avalanche is going to take your highest interest rate and pay that off first. So your ranking is going to be a customized plan. Let's just say you owe a friend money and you need to prioritize that. You can set that in these columns right here, custom rank. So we can put 1 if we want to pay it off the first, and then 12 if we want to pay it off the last. Now you do have to rank all of them if you are going to do the custom ranking. And then none is no rolling or overpayments. So what does that mean? So the snowball and avalanche are proven debt strategies. And basically what it does is when you pay off a debt, that minimum payment goes into the next debt. It is a proven strategy to pay down debt quick. I know it's painful. I know we all have high minimum payments that we just want to get rid of, but it is the fastest and best way to pay off your debt. It's aggressive, but also realistic. And an overpayment is where you pay off a debt entirely for that month, and then you take that balance as well into the next debt. So let's just say your car payment has $45 remaining. Your minimum monthly payment is $300. That extra money is going to go into the next debt. So let's just select snowball and see what changes. So when we select snowball, we go from 46 months saved and over $2,000 of interest saved. Guys, I cannot stress this enough how good these strategies are. And you can see over to the right, it will tell you what should you pay off first. And there's also a much more detailed plan I'll get into later. But this calculator you can play around with, and honestly, there's not a huge difference between snowball and avalanche, because no matter what, you're rolling over the minimum payments and doing the overpayments. But if you have a high interest rate, the avalanche might be better for you, but in reality, it might not be such a big difference for you. So we can see here in this chart, we have months saved 46. So we have a chart here. Gold is with your strategy and the white is without. So this clock right here means months. So you can see with this strategy, we're going to pay $6,000 in interest and be debt free in 59 months. Pretty cool. That's what this is telling you with this plan. Now this calculator is based off your starting balances. So as you pay off debt, if you change your strategy, these numbers might not change as much or be as relevant to you. But if you do want to start fresh, you can update your starting balance and create a whole new plan. But there are so many other things that will update as you pay off your balance where that might not be necessary. So now let's talk about this gray portion right here. So this is just saying with no plan, you're going to pay $8,000 in interest or over $8,000 versus $6,000. You can see the money saved right here. And with no plan, you're looking at 105 months, and that saves you 46 months with this plan. So again, play around with it. The key to this is really doing a snowball or avalanche, again, where you're rolling over minimum payments and overpayments, and then as much money as you can put down towards your debt is going to be the key to save you money. But a lot of people tell me this is an eye-opener for them. When they realize they're paying over $8,000 in interest without a plan, they come to me and they're like, wow, this is crazy. And that's why I'm like, this is why this debt planner is so important. It keeps you motivated and organized. So once you have your debt, again, you'll be able to see what debts to pay off first. But I'm going to skip around here and go over to the debt payment timeline. So again, this is using your starting balances, not your current balances. So this plan will not change as you pay down your debt. So you can always look back at it and see where should you be. I want to be honest, it's a lot. It's a lot of math. Basically, you can see each month where your monthly payment is going, your additional payment and where that is going, your current balances for each debt, and when you pay off a debt. So using this month 38 as an example, you'll see your credit card balance is 0, your car payment is almost paid off, and your student loans is really not that close to being paid off. But you can see the rolling minimum payment, where it's being applied, your additional payment, overpayment, applying to your student loans. So again, overpayment is when you overpay a debt. You only have $54 of your car payment balance, but your monthly minimum is much higher than $54. So you are going to roll that over into student loans. So take a moment, there's a legend. It will make sense when you input your own debt and you'll really get a feel on where should your money be going. You don't necessarily need this. All you need to know is, okay, I'm putting $50 more a month into my debt. I pay off my minimum, and that $50 is going to my credit card. because with the snowball method, that's what it's telling me to do. And over time, you're going to see results. I know the debt can be a lot. All right, so now let's move into the debt balance progress. So I'm going to just do some examples here. Let's just say we pay off $150, right? Even though it's $120, whatever. I'm just going to do $150 for this example. Now let's scroll up and see what it says. So you can see your debt freedom date, February 2030, 55 months. And since we pay down some debt, you'll see this pie chart. So we have this debt remaining, and it also shows you what amount of interest you have remaining. A really cool way to say, how am I doing? We all know interest sucks. There's some interest traps out there, so we want to get this down as quickly as possible. And you also see here, how much a month are you paying in minimum payments and how much a month are you paying in monthly interest? Again, a lot of people tell me how surprised they are when they see, wow, I'm paying $200 just in interest, not even towards my principal. But it's okay. You create a plan, you stick with that plan, and you get things done. So this will update as you pay down your debt versus these numbers. Again, when you're in month 10, might not be so relevant because you already created your plan. This debt calculator is really built, make a plan once, maybe adjust your additional monthly payment. So let's just use this as an example. Let's just say we got a pay raise and we're now able to put $150 a month. So before I put in $150, notice how it says 55 months for debt freedom date. Let's put $150, and this will now update to 49 months. So you literally save half a year by just putting $100 a month more. Now, $100 is a lot, but again, it puts it into reality. If you want to pay down your debt quicker, faster, while saving money, this is what you got to do. So now let's scroll over to the right, and we have a couple more metrics. Your debt allocation. So you can see your debt allocation over here. You get a pie chart. You can see what debt is the most out of all your debts, what debt is the least amount, and a utilization rate. So in this example, right, we're using 59% of our credit limit. And this is important for credit score, right? There's a certain number you want to be below. So this is a cool tool to track. Again, it's really just taking, because we have a car payment and student loans that don't have a credit limit, it's just taking our credit card as a utilization. And then we can see our debt payments right here, debt payment each month. We can get a chart with that, see how we're doing, and then a total balance change. So we didn't add any balance, so it's just going to be a straight line. All right, and that's basically it. So there's a lot of information here. I know it can be overwhelming, but there's so much useful information and metrics to get out of this. Once you use it for a little bit, you'll get the hang of it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. At the end of the day, get a plan for your debt, pay it off, and let's reach that debt freedom date. Good luck, everyone, on your debt, and thank you.